little bit dark.
Okay. Just gonna hit the lights. That should hopefully make it better.
I muted you. Okay, so I don't know if you can quickly make your, yes, it's slightly much better now. So we would now go live on our various social media handles. And on that note, I will say welcome once more this evening to Njenje Media TV. Our conversation this evening is titled Southeast Security. The Ebube Agu, that is the security outfit for the Southeast region of Nigeria, the pathway to stability. This evening, join me to welcome my guests. I have in the forum with us, General Obi Umahi retired, who is the former General Officer commanding GOC 81 Division, Nigerian Army, Chairman, Southeast Security Committee. General, you're welcome to this conversation this evening.
Thank you, Mazi.
So, also, we have DIG Hilary Opara, MNI, retired, former Deputy Inspector General of Police. I have a word that there are some emergencies. He may join later or he may not. And I also have with us this evening, Chidi Nwaonu, Risk Management Consultant, Terrorism, Security and Counterinsurgents with particular focus on Nigeria and West Africa. Chidi is a British Army Reserve officer, served as an infantryman in Iraq and Afghanistan. Many of you might know his opinion on Arise TV, CNN, BBC, all over. And I will say, Chidi, you're welcome. Chidi, I think you're still muted. Can you quite quickly unmute yourself?
Thank you. Sorry, I kept myself muted there, so I wouldn't disturb your introduction. But thank you for your welcome. It was a very generous introduction.
Okay, so the conversation this evening, as many of you will know, in the last couple of months, we have come to see what many reports have said that the Southeast is the most secured region in Nigeria. However, with the activities happening in recent times, many have come to question that assertion that Southeast is the most secured region in Nigeria. On that note, I'll pose the first question here before we start this conversation. Is Southeast still the most secured region in Nigeria? General, may I start with you? What's your take on that?
Well, thanks, Mazi. Until most recently, like you observed, Southeast region was the most secure and safe. But events in the past few weeks have changed the scenario, changed the narrative, changed the security color. And I think now we have some kind of red security flag that is up. And I guess it is in response to that the Southeast Governors Forum, along with Ohaneze Ndibo, President General, held a quick meeting and came up with Ebube Agu. So that's a response to the current security scenario.
Okay. So thank you very much. Chidi, obviously you have Nigerian heritage and you've been exposed to Iraq and Iran. Now, putting it in context here, just opposing what the general has described, do you think there is any semblance of, as with regards to insecurity, what is happening in the Southeast today? Does that call to mind what probably you may have experienced in Iraq and Afghanistan?
Okay, so in the context of, maybe my experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan, I would say broadly no, for the simple reason that in Afghanistan, when I deployed, that was when, there was heavy fighting there. That was more combat, more akin to what's happening in Northeast Nigeria. In Iraq, I would say the similarities that I would try and draw will be with Iraq, where when I deployed in 2004, we were in that period just after the war ended and before the major insurgency started, just as the insurgency was kicking off. And what's the similarities, although they're not exactly the same, what I'm going to try and draw out is that we're in the same phase as is happening now in the Southeast that was happening when I was there, which is the preparation phase. So what's happening now, as we can see in the Southeast, is somebody, and who the actors are is up for debate, is preparing for something bigger. They're doing this by attacking the security forces, attacking the police. This has at least 3 or 4 different effects. The first effect, obviously, is to gather weapons. So you get weapons, you get arms, you get ammunition. Second is to remove that police presence by actually physically destroying their vehicles, physically destroying their buildings. So that prevents the police from actually having a presence and providing whatever security they might provide. The third effect is terrorizing the police in of themselves. So every policeman now knows going onto a checkpoint or going on a patrol or going to your police station, you're at risk of being attacked, you're at risk of being killed. You can see that in the latest attacks, the police flee without even putting up that much of a resistance. So that terror effect is working. And the fourth is to message to the population. Now, it's no secret to any Nigerian that the Nigerian police are not popular. And in the Southeast, we all know the experience of having a checkpoint every 10 meters, having, trying to move your goods from one point to another and being harassed by the police or calling police if there's a problem, they'll tell you there's no fuel and all of this kind of harassment. So by attacking the police, although people might not approve of it, they are not a popular target. It's not the same as if you're attacking churches or you're attacking schools or you're attacking factories. You're attacking somebody that's already disliked. So it messages to the population that, listen, we've understood you, we've heard your cries, and we're getting rid of something that bothers you. Ask any Igbo businessman what bothers him, and he'll tell you, other than the normal infrastructure, it's the checkpoints, it's the harassment, how much it costs you to move goods from Lagos, how many when you cross the Niger Bridge, how many checkpoints you will see per kilometer, as opposed to on the other side. It's very clever messaging. It's propaganda of the deed. But the final thing I'm just going to try and mention is just to draw back to a comment you made earlier about the Southeast being the most secure region. Technically, that's true, in my opinion. But at the same time, security in Nigeria is relative. Whilst I don't think there's any of us from the East who doesn't know someone who has been kidnapped or who doesn't know people who are being attacked on the road, armed robbers, all of this kind of stuff. So our security might not be at the level, our insecurity might not be at the level of the Northeast, where you've got Boko Haram, or the Northwest, where you've got bandits kidnapping huge numbers. But we still have a high level of insecurity, and this is all built into the mix of what's happening now.
Thank you very much. So if I draw from what you've just said, does that mean every one of us should be worried?
Yes.
Really? So so what you're saying is this is just the beginning. It's going to get worse. We should raise up.
Yes, it's going to get worse. This is essentially what you will find after this phase. It might go quiet for a bit, and that will be not because they've been defeated or because they're quiet. That's because they've got everything they need. They've fixed the police by destroying their infrastructure, by terrifying them. They've got enough weapons. They've opened up links either to the Niger Delta or to southern Cameroon to get weapons, and then the next phase will start, and that will be much heavier attacks on the army, trying to take on the army. And the point of taking on the army is, again, multiple reasons. Number one, to defeat the army, to fix the army, to gather weapons, heavier weapons. So right now they've got rifles, they've got pistols. They haven't got heavy machine guns. They've not got RPGs. They'll get that from the army by knocking over a few army checkpoints of army patrols. But more importantly, when you hit the army will retaliate. We all know the Nigerian army. They will retaliate. They will attack innocent civilians, and that will cause people to come over to their cause. And at that point, you will see open proselytization, where this group, whoever they are, will now identify themselves and say, this is who we are, and this is what we're doing, and we are your only defenders against these people. And if they're really, and if their intentions are really, as you can see, there's been attacks on Hausa traders in Olu and other places, then it will be to provoke, and attacks on Igbos outside Nigeria, outside the Southeast, to provoke that crisis that leads them to say. So many of us, I'll speak for myself. I don't support secession. I don't support IPOB or a new Biafra or whatever it is. But when the choice is presented to you are Igbo, therefore you're going to be massacred, and then somebody comes and says, I'm your only defender, that is a choice that will be presented to people. And this is where this crisis will now escalate beyond where it is now. Okay, without jumping too far, you've raised a really cogent point here, but I will piggyback on the things you've said, and eventually probably that would fit into solutions before we walk away from this meeting. And thank you very much for that brilliant insight. Now, General, I would come back to you, General, here. We saw last week, as you mentioned in your opening remark, that the Southeast governors with the Igbo leaders came together and obviously gave us these Ebube Agu. Now, the Ebube Agu, since it came out, there has been mixed feelings online. Everybody, since Monday, everybody talking, some supporting it, some against it, some saying, well, it is a mimic of what has been done in the Southwest. My question then to you, General, is can you tell us here what underpins Ebube Agu? What is it that Ebube Agu is to do for the people of the Southeast?
Well, I think that it has been formed. My thinking was that the support it will enjoy will cut across the entire Igbo land, within the Southeast, outside the Southeast in Nigeria and the diaspora. But that is not what you are seeing now. So what it goes to tell me is that actually those people who were clamoring for this outfit, a number of them were just calling for it for the purpose of propaganda. A number of them have just been calling for this outfit just to belittle the stature of the Igbo political leaders, that they are not able to secure their people. Now that the governors with Ohaneze have come up with this outfit, I think it's preposterous for anybody, any true Igbo man, to rise up against this particular outfit. But unfortunately, many educated Igbos are now poo-pooing the idea, but they can't come up with any credible reason why they have one thing or the other against Ebube Agu. I think the best thing that has happened to us, speaking security, is the formation of this Ebube Agu. And I think that if we are a reasonable people, as we are looked upon from other parts of this country, what everybody should do is to give full support to this outfit so that it will gain the legitimacy Legitimacy is first of all given by the law, but there is legitimacy given by the population. So we expect that the Igbos will give it the legitimacy it deserves so that it will gain the strength and the confidence, knowing that my people are behind us. They are ready. The Ebubeagu will be ready to put in everything possible within the ambit of the resources it has at its disposal to forge a common front with the Igbo population in order to achieve the desired security for the Southeast. And achieving the desired security for the Southeast requires two things. We must look at the security of Igbo man from two perspectives. One, the security of the Igbo man who is in the Southeast, and the security of the Igbo man who is outside Southeast, but within this nation, Nigeria. And you know that we have more population of Igbos outside Igbo land within this nation. So if Ebubeagu is allowed to go the way some people, some radical minds, some unarticulated minds, if Ebubeagu should go in that way, we will create crisis that will consume the Igbos that are outside of Igbo land. So Ebubeagu must operate circumspectly. Ebubeagu must operate with deep sense of reasoning, with the Igbos, the lives of the Igbos outside Igbo land in the forefront of everything that we do. IPOB and ESN, I must address them squarely. IPOB and ESN have an agenda of creating crisis that will consume the Igbos. They are not doing anything that will help Igbos. What they are doing is to cause, you know, people who love their people, they can't be doing videos shouting, chase them, kill them. Everywhere you see Fulani, kill him. Everywhere you see their cow, kill them. Without knowing that you have your own people that are also in their own land. So all those video clips are very dangerous for the existence of our people. And they were done without any thought for the safety of our people outside Igbo land. IPOB and ESN wants to create a crisis, a level of crisis in Nigeria that will bring hatred upon the Igbos that are outside Igbo land. And then what happened in 1966, 67 will repeat itself, where there will be roadblocks in all the routes going to Igbo land, and they will butcher our people. The ones they don't slaughter in the city, they will slaughter on the way. That is what ESN and IPOB is tearing up for our people.
General, you mentioned about roadblocks. I read something this afternoon, I think from Vanguard News. Roadblocks being put towards Oka, that, you know, the roads are deserted, but, you know, because of the insecurity, there are roadblocks where heavily now being put. I mean, that's on a side note. But let me come back. You know, you now mentioned the IPOB in your answer to my question. The question, you know, the question that will naturally come and everybody will want to know is, I remember because I was involved and I extensively covered when Enugu International Airport was closed in July 2019. I remember vividly that the Southeast governors met, and in that meeting, they issued a statement, and in that statement, therein contained that they were going to have a form of a security network to provide security for the Southeast region. Now, that is July 2019. Many people...
August.
August. Yeah, thank you very much for that correction. So, since that August, many people now, when I read online, when I have conversation, people say, wow, the reason why they appear not to trust or not to move with this is because since that time, they've been waiting. The Yorubas came and they've done theirs. And here are we, a year, more than 1 year later, and we are now having this announcement. Hence, people receiving it with mixed feelings. So don't you think that the delay also led to these mixed feelings that we see today, General?
No, I don't think so. What is happening about security of the Southeast is more political than real. IPOB has been using security to play politics unnecessarily in Igbo land. Let me tell you something. When the Southeast was the first to come up with this regional security outfit, like we said, on the 31st of August, 2019. And I am not holding brief for the governors, but I want to say that in security calculations, you don't do force surge when there is no threat. And you don't build up troops when there are no indicators of insecurity. The insecurity that has been in the Southeast until recently are the same level of insecurity that has been there 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Issues, in fact, it even came down. The insecurity associated with kidnapping, armed robbery, those regular issues that have been the part of our security problem in Nigeria. Now, the good response from the governors is that there was a change in the security classification, and they responded immediately by forming Ebubeagu. So remember that the resources of the Southeast states are very little compared to resources that go to other parts of this country. So, and the sponsoring a force, a body of troops would have eaten so deep into their resources when there was no palpable insecurity problem that warranted it. All those calls for the security outfit were more political, propaganda of fears. That's well what called for them. So I think that the governors did, left for me, the Ebubeagu would have come earlier. But based on calculation, economic calculation, I think the way they have responded at this point in time, where the security situation has taken a downturn, I think it's appropriate. And there is nothing to stop our people from giving Ebubeagu a full support. Any person speaking against this outfit must be a palpable enemy of the Southeast or someone who has an agenda different from the agenda of Igbos as a people. that want a situation that offers them security to carry out their businesses. That's what I think.
So in that case, what you're saying is, if I just oppose your answer to a media report in February, to be precise, February 2020, where the Southeast governors were quoted as saying that the Southeast does not need to form a regional, emphasis here, a regional security outfit. Then the question to you, knowing that you are the one that heads this, that headed the security committee, then I will now say to you, General, if Ndibo are now saying there was a time the governor said we cannot have a regional security outfit, now we have formed this, I would say, what has changed?
Security situation. The color has changed. And let me also tell you, in the communique of the governors, they were specific on the fact that the vigilante groups that will be formed as the Ebube Agu force will be state-based, but coordinated. There will be a coordinating command and control center at Enugu. And this is important because there are some security facilities that will be uncommercial for each state to go for its own. Jointly, they could go for some of such facilities. It will save them a lot of money. And then at the center, they will facilitate information sharing. They will facilitate training. They will facilitate PSYOPs. They will facilitate information operations. So all those are areas that could be facilitated at the center. It will not be regional in the sense, regional, quote and unquote, because there is, constitutionally, there is no region.
No region,
in
that's
Nigeria.
correct. That's correct.
So each state is going to come up with a law by the state assembly establishing the outfit. They will share the same uniform. They will share the same color on the vehicles. Everything will be the same. They will have the same training, but they will operate. The governors will be in charge at their various states. But there are some basic security information and pieces of advice that the center, the coordinating center, could pass on to the various states. And then liaison will easily be facilitated when there is a command center. Besides that, this security awareness that the whole Southeast requires will be best done at the coordinating center. So these are the things that will be done at the coordinating center, notwithstanding, without prejudice to all I've said. It does not mean that if marauders, terrorists are invading a part of Enugu state, that the vigilante in Ebonyi cannot cross over to support Enugu state. Nothing says that.
Okay, so
even constitutionally, nothing says that. If the Southeast can cooperate economically, if the Southwest can cooperate economically, there is no way in the Constitution that says in security issues that regions, states within a region cannot cooperate.
Okay, that's a fair point there. So what you're saying in essence is, because reading the communique, part of it as regards to the command and control, which we are made to understand is going to be sitting in Enugu. So what you're saying in essence is, let's say we have, bandits or headsmen invading their, let's say, Ozo-1. What you're saying is the command and control in Enugu can say, well, okay, we need more men from maybe closer Abia, Ebonyi, and maybe from Anambra State. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. That is
they are our brothers everywhere they are.
Okay. That's good to know. And I believe that will gladden the hearts of many Igbo watching this program this evening. And Chidi here, I will come back to you. Let me piggyback a little bit. Now, Chidi, you have listened to what General Obi Umahi just basically told us. And I do not know if at the time you were in Iraq and in Afghanistan, to keep security aside the external forces there, do you think there is anything to learn from the experiences there? Do they have something like these local vigilante as well that we have in the Southeast? Chidi?
Yes. So there's several key points. I think the first one I'm going to say before I say go into the first point, I'm just going to say I'll very respectfully disagree with General Umahi, some of his points, especially in terms of the preparation of setting up Ebube Agu, that we couldn't have done this earlier. I mean, one of the key things. One of the key adages that we all know is, if you desire peace, you prepare for war. And I sitting in the UK, predicted exactly what is happening now as far back as 2014, 2015. I knew that. I saw the indicators. I knew what was coming, and I wrote a series of very long articles and shared them with as many people as I could to say this is what is coming, and we need to prepare. There's an insurgency coming, and this is how it is going to be. They will start with the police. They will start attacking. They'll start taking weapons. And this is what if we could see it from here, or I could see it from here, I don't understand why the political leaders in Nigeria couldn't see it and couldn't prepare for this and prevent. And the fact we keep saying to ourselves that the Southeast is the most secure region, as I said, this is not true. We are plagued by armed robbers. We are plagued by kidnappers. We are plagued by area boys, whatever it is, all kinds of cultists and everything. These are all people who predate upon the population. And what we need to understand is that it's why we're having this response now is not because the region is insecure. It's because the insecurity is now targeting the state. We have left the people to their own devices. We have vigilantes all over the Southeast already. So this is just and again, we could have prepared much better for it. But to go back to your question, the key thing I was actually going to say is that Iraq and Afghanistan are actually the worst examples that we could take for the Southeast in particular. I mean, we can look at some of the examples from Afghanistan and apply it to the Northeast, but the examples we're applying is just essentially how to fight this war better. And by the time you've got to the stage of war, you've already failed. We should never have got to the stage in the Northeast where we are calling down airstrikes on our own cities, on our own towns, on our own people, like it's happening now in the Southeast, where you have airstrikes happening in Olu and for maybe for those of us who have read Nigerian history, we understand, number one, the impact of airstrikes on the Igbo psyche, from what people suffered during the war. We understand that this area where this crisis happened, Olu, Uli, all these kind of places, these were the last places to fall during the war. And if you it's a very strange kind of psychological memory that it triggered in me. And I didn't see the war, but in me, somebody who understood the war, for me to see airstrikes in this area again, it's something that's very, very curious that it goes without comment. But the lessons that I'm going to take from my experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan are this: in that local forces were generated, and I'm going to use Afghanistan for this mainly, and then I'll defer to Iraq. Local forces were generated in Afghanistan. There were several layers of forces. The first were the police, like I'll call them the town and the village police. There's other names, but this is what I'm going to use. So like the town police, they generally had their uniforms, they had their weapons were a little bit better, they had better vehicles. Sometimes later on in the conflict, they had mentors from NATO who would stay with them, train them up. The village police were locally recruited. They had terrible weapons. They were almost always high. They just smoked opium all day, beat up the locals, took their motorcycles, took their money, collaborated with the Taliban. They used to rape little children. So, I mean, without going into too much detail, as curious as it is, there's a very curious subculture, particularly in Afghanistan, of men sleeping with little boys, and they would take these boys into their compounds, into their police compounds, and whenever we come, they'll go and hide the boys or whatever it is. But that was, so you can imagine if you have this police post in your village, these guys turn up, they are taking your crops, they're taking your motorcycle, they are raping your little kids. Taliban will come, they will just go and chill. The Taliban will do their own thing and go. Imagine how that made the villagers feel about the government. And then the federal police would try and do their best, but they were generally outgunned. And then the other layers then were the Afghan National Army, and then obviously NATO troops. And even us as NATO troops, our job was to protect the population, but our main effort, what we've spent most of our time doing, was fighting and defending ourselves. Because, and this is the problem, this is something I'm going to highlight, throughout whatever I say this evening, is we didn't have enough men. So in my compound where we were based, we were in a place called the Green Zone, which is, although Afghanistan in the south is mainly desert, it's an irrigated part along the Helmand River, which is kind of like, it's very jungly, and it's that's where a lot of the fighting took place. My compound was at the front, and the villagers will pass and not see the Taliban are in that house, they're looking at you. We couldn't do anything. We didn't have enough men to go out and fight them. When they didn't have enough, they couldn't push us out from where we are. But at night, they would just, if they wanted to infiltrate, they'll go around us, because we didn't have enough men to dominate the ground. When you add all of these factors in, again, the most important factor we have to underline in all of this is that this is a war for the people, amongst the people. We couldn't protect the people as NATO troops. The Afghan National Army couldn't protect the people because we were too busy fighting the Taliban and defending ourselves. The federal police couldn't protect the people because they were too busy fighting the Taliban and defending themselves. The village police couldn't protect the people because they didn't want to, and they were just there getting high, stealing and raping little children. So the only people the only organization the people could turn to for anything was the Taliban. Because when they go to the Taliban, yes, they will give them harsh punishments, whatever it is, but they know that if they go to the Taliban court and they judge a case, the case is finished. They will judge the case. Whether I win or I lose, I know case is finished today. You go to the Afghan government court, you will spend how many weeks, just like in Nigeria, you will bribe judge, bribe this, bribe that, court will be adjourned. Whoever can bribe the most will win. You have a problem with somebody, you go to the Taliban, they will judge as Islamic law. Everybody understood Islamic law, everybody understood tribal law. Whether you agree or not, you understood it. But somebody is now bringing laws, Afghan government law that was drawn from the Soviet times, some from the tribal times, and you're trying to judge that case over months and months. It doesn't apply to the people.
Okay.
So I mean, sorry, just to get the final point I'm trying to make is that when with this war, that is the war that is happening, hopefully that will not get to the point that I'm talking about, is a war amongst the people, for the people. And it's going to be fought by the people. And the only thing that is important is not about protecting the government. It's not about protecting police stations. It's about protecting the people. If the people believe they are safe, then they will support you. If not, every single human being amongst us, whether it's me sitting here safe in London, if my life is threatened, I will go to whatever protects me. And if the government is someone is sitting in Abuja and Owerri telling me that I will support the government whilst I'm being beaten up or my house is being burnt, I will go to whoever can protect me. And that has to be the underlying guiding principle of anything that comes. Protect the people above all everything else, even to the risk of taking casualties amongst the security forces.
So now, understanding the need to have this security outfit, and just opposing with your experience, what is it that you're going to tell those in charge of this security outfit from experience?
First and most important thing is understand the problem. Now, we're not going to understand the problem in its totality because, as I said, there's many different elements to what's going on now. I don't think all of it is IPOB, all of it is ESN. Some of it is politics, some of it is criminality, some of it is all other measure of things. But we need to understand that the key underlying grievance in Igbo land is that people are not secure and people have no faith in the government. So there has to be a holistic approach.
No.
And the most important, sorry, go on.
No, okay. I mean, I'm listening to what you're saying, and it's before we lose sight here. Aren't we supposed to be blaming the person who controls the federal police? Because actually, that we are having this conversation of setting off something for a people is as a result of the federal policing system, isn't it?
Yes. They have failed. The National Security Advisor, the IGP, I mean, we shouldn't even be bringing the COAS into this. I mean, the fact that the army is getting involved again is a failure of the IGP. It's a failure of the Minister of Police, and none of these people are ever held accountable. And that's something that, again, is surprising to me, that why haven't the Igbo senators, Igbo House of Reps members called these guys to say what is going on? We should not be having vigilantes, because the police should be taking care of business.
Well, eventually we might get to a point of, if everyone agrees towards a state police. Now, General here, I'll come back to you. And obviously we've listened to the command structure that you've told us. Do you have an idea how many men we might be looking at in terms of these security network?
Well, to determine the force you require, there should be threat security analysis. And you juxtapose that with the resources available to the various state governors. Because putting a force together is one thing, maintaining the force is another. And unmaintained force could turn to be an insecurity in itself.
Exactly.
So, one, there will be security analysis to know what exactly are the force we want, what exactly are they going to be engaged in. What level of instruments of violence will be available to them, because weapon is force multiplier. If they have to go with baton and walking stick and machete, then you require 1,000 men to protect one community, and no government can pay for such force. So the issue is how to balance all of this. What level of support is the federal government going to give to this regional outfit? Because take a look at Amotekun. The federal government refused to approve a scale of equipment that could help them achieve the mission and vision of Amotekun. So, though Amotekun is in place, but we do not even really understand what they are going through. But let's leave that for another day. Though Amotekun is in place, but they are not as effective as they ought to be, because the federal government has not allowed them a level of equipment they require. Until that is allowed, then what you can run away with is that there is no vigilante force anywhere in this nation that can truly stand to combat terrorists that are well armed. That is the facts of the matter. That is the truth on the ground.
Well, sorry, General here, I don't think, anybody in his right sense will be expecting the vigilantes being able to combat, bandits in hillocks with RPGs or anything. But I mean, we do have these cynical side of having bunch of, they come in form of headsmen. And I mean, recently we had it in Ebonyi, where they can, I think that was a Gede, and come in and cause such havoc. And if we had such, defense mechanism, I believe for such, it's something of that nature that the vigilante, or rather the security outfit, could actually handle and probably push them back, isn't it?
Well, Mazi, if you had really had the full story, you would have understood that those people came in those wee hours of the night with a lot of staccato sounds of gunfire. They didn't just come with machetes and walking sticks. They came with automatic weapons. And the firing rented the air that many villagers got up and started running for their dear lives. But it was in the night. They didn't even know the direction to run to, except that they felt they were running away from the sound of the automatic weapons. But the way these terrorists or bandits operate is that they could be firing from the left, and some of them will lay ambush at the far. All right. So if you are running to, what our people are doing, every social media you see that Igbos are mainly in, all they do is how to criticize their leaders. They say nothing to the central government.
Okay, I think sadly here, General,
they say nothing to the enemies of Ndibo. Therefore, when you, Ebubeagu, can succeed and make credible suggestions, they will rather be criticizing whatsoever that is done in the course of putting this Ebubeagu to full operations.
Well, General, part of the conversation here is to unpick the gray areas that probably people didn't understand from the statement, the 6 minutes, I think 6 minutes, 20 seconds. Oh, I think the connection, are you still there, General?
Yes, I'm there.
Oh, okay. The 6 minutes, 20 seconds statement that was read. Now, the question, obviously, from what you have said now, part of what we're doing is to understand and to unpick these gray areas. Now, one of the things you said is that, I'll put it in my own way, that Motekun is in place, but impotent. Obviously, by not having the requisite, tools to work, one could actually say they are impotent and probably exist in for plausible effect. Question then to you, General, will be, what are the lessons we can learn from Amotekun in order for us not to fall within whatever happened?
Security is a very complicated issue. And there are some things I wouldn't want to share on this platform.
Okay.
In the marketplace. So, but I want to say that every problem calls for deliberate effort towards finding out plausible solutions. I guess that there could be ways around these expected problems, and it could be addressed in the best possible way. that will be legal and very transparent.
Okay, thank you very much, General. In Igbo, we say, I believe that question is well understood, or rather the answer is well understood. It is something left to be done in Imobi, and I mean, I take it at that. And having said that, people had issues when they saw the pictures that came from Owerri, where that was declared. And I have had the privilege of many people asking me, why do we have in that meeting? I mean, I could gazette an answer, but I would want that answer to come from you. That people consider that in a meeting that was meant to be for the people of Southeast or for Ndibo, and they had top security men and women who are not Ndibo in their midst discussing Igbo security.
No, that's not the real scenario. The meetings were in two phases. The first phase was with those who came from the presidency, our governors, and then the President General of Ohanese. That's phase one. Phase two was only our governors and then the President General of Ohanese, not with the security agencies, not with the representatives of the president. No, two phases.
Okay, it's good that that clarification is made, because I believe many people who are genuinely concerned about that. I mean, obviously, you've had that question. Now, in that meeting, we also had, I think, point 14 in that communique said, meeting agreed that open grazing has been banned and security agencies should implement the ban. Where are we with the banning of this, or rather open grazing? Open grazing has been banned. We have heard this enough. It's, is there a state legislature, legislation as of today by any state assembly that has banned open grazing in the Southeast?
Well, again, I tell you, I am not a governor. You call me Major General. You never call me His Excellency. So I want to say, as much as I know, there are at least 2 states in the Southeast that sent a bill each to their state assemblies. And there was a law that they produced banning open grazing. That is the much I can tell you, but I don't want to start mentioning the states to the exclusion of others.
Okay, General, thank you very much for that answer. We would take about 3 questions from the audience, but before I do, now, Ndibo all over the world is watching. What is it that you will be looking to extract from Ndibo as regards this Ebubeagu security initiative?
Number 1, when it comes to security, any people that are interested in survival and the future of their children, they shun politics, they shun every other thing and come together to deal with the issue of security with deep sense of responsibility. I expect Igbos to do that. Number 2, the Southeast governors cannot sponsor security. based on their mega resources. Igbos must come together to contribute to security funds. We require that as early as yesterday. Thirdly, people must be positive in their criticisms. Criticism is good, it helps any organization, but the best is constructive and positive criticisms, not sarcasm, not just persuaded by, those who expect that you should speak in a particular way. That is playing to the gallery. Our people should stop playing to the gallery. Our people should quit being sponsored by unscrupulous politicians to attack their own system. Except we do this and come together as a people, we cannot survive this trial that is in the air. So that is my advice to Igbos. For once, let's come together as a people.
Thank you very much, General. To your last word, where you say that speaking in certain terms, obviously I have read also, and people also reached me. Many said that the press release was done, and it, in some words, that it was watered down. It is apologetic to the center. But again, I think as Ndibo, if we go back and read that same press release, but this time around, bearing in mind the position Ndibo occupy in Nigeria, it may make more sense. Now, I will take questions. I will take Benes and Anthony Elomba and Obi Basco. That's the much we can take before we call it a day. So Ben, please, if it's question or comment, less than 1 minute, please. If not, we'll be cut off. Thank you very much. Can you unmute and ask your question, please?
Okay, Mazi is okay. Thank you for the question. Oh, sorry for the opportunity, and also thank you every member that is here. Let me go through. I have a little comment, maybe a question at the end of it, if you don't mind. It is unfortunate that Ndibo leadership, our governors, do not take the security of Ndibo serious. Ebubeagu was launched. Where are the men? Where are the equipment? Where is the leadership? Look at what Omoteku did. Look at what ESN did. You can see it and feel it and know it. When you say, General Umahi said that you don't surge a force until there is a threat. I'm very sorry to use that word. I am very disappointed in that comment coming from a general, because there is what is called deterrent. You can't fight America today because you know what will happen. In 2016, Enugu State, Nimo, was the first place the Fulanis went and killed people. From there up to today, and hearing everything the general has said, there is no single statement to say that there is a structure, there is a plan. You are now telling us that you need money. We should have known that in 2016. And by now, Igbos all over the world in diaspora would have rallied to raise any amount of money required to secure Ndibo. Okay. But it is the governors who are playing politics, and the governor had the audacity, effortry, to send help plane, military plane, to bomb Ndibo. I was in the primary school during the war. I saw the war. I saw the planes. I saw the bombers, I saw the fighters. For you as a governor to send military equipment to come and bomb and kill your people, ESN is not our problem. ESN is the solution. Ebubeagu is only formed in a hurry to confront ESN. Okay. Nothing more than that.
Thank you.
Otherwise, we can't see anything that
thank you very much. General, before you answer that question, let me actually pick up something that I forgot that has to do with the question Ben Ezenta asked, where are the men? And before you answer the question, where are the men, I am having a follow-up, which is, we have states like Anambra where we have a very, very structured vigilante rooted by the communities, that is the towns. And in there, they have their operational vehicles. And I think sometime in 2019 as well, Enugu State started their forest guard with vigilante cum forest guard. Now, in between these two structures, what we are looking at now as Ebubeagu, where is Ebubeagu going to sit? Is he going to merge and become, or is he going to come out of the already existing vigilante structure? Or is he going to be a layer above the current vigilante? How is that going to be, General?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start from the last question. The vigilante, as they are currently formed in all the 5 Southeast states, will be absorbed into the Ebubeagu. I guess that settles that issue. Then, you see, let me tell
Ben Ezenta.
Mazi Ben Ezenta. My brother, I think the issue is that some of you are acting based on the sexed up information, propaganda of fear that you have been hearing. You people do not really know what is on the ground. It is actually very, like someone who came from US to Nigeria. He spent 3 weeks. And by the time he was going, he was asking, all these things we have been hearing in US, I never knew that I could just move, that I could move to any part of this country without being waylaid, without being killed. So you people have been put into some kind of mental siege that you don't believe that anything good is happening in this nation. You people have been so, your psyche has been so mesmerized that you see nothing good about Nigeria, nothing good about the political leaders in Nigeria. What you see that is good is only your opinion and what you think that is on ground. I can't understand why someone who is there outside this country will say that the best option for Igbo is ESN. What is your proof? What is your understanding? So I just don't, I think it's something that is based on unnecessary bias and prejudice, primordial prejudice for that matter. Now you are asking, you said that you are disappointed in the general, that you don't, that you should do, that what I said about force surge. Anywhere in the world, ask Chidi, before a force surge is in response to palpable threat. You don't surge a force and keep them without knowing the apparent threats that are supposed to contain. So if you don't understand some military terminologies, please don't address such issues. And then I want to tell you that the Southeast governors have been doing what you people, most of you in diaspora, don't want to know about because you have made up minds. Some of you have been indoctrinated to believe that, oh, when crisis is caused in Nigeria and Biafra is formed, you will come and become provincial governors. You come and hold this appointment or that or the other. And then you now have a foothold that you hitherto do not have upon this nation. I think it's a wrong way to think. Any person who wants power, there is a process. Return home, come and contest for any office. You are free, you are at liberty. But to stay out there, not knowing exactly what is happening there, and then you are prescribing that his SN should continue to operate in Nigeria and draw war upon us. You don't even know what the implication of what they are doing. They are great. You are talking about calling Air Force to come and bomb your own people. Listen, the danger, the gravest danger that is facing Igbos is IPOB and ESN. They are the ones that are responsible for the killing of many youths because they are drawing war upon Nigeria, upon Igbo land. And as many as are sponsoring IPOB and encouraging IPOB to do this, when the drum beat begins, I hope you will return to Nigeria. And some of you don't have your children in Nigeria. The youths that they are using, they are camped in the bush. They are not cared for. They will soon turn to guerrillas. They are already doing that. They go to homes, bring up people, extort them, kidnap some. They are already doing it. And that is what you are saying. An illegal body. You that is in a developed country, you are encouraging obviously illegal contraption. You are saying it is good for Igbo land. May the Almighty God help us, because we must always call on God.
Thank you very much, General. Thank you for that answer. I would call on the next question. Please make it very brief. Anthony, make your question, please, very brief. We will be rounding up shortly. Anthony.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mazi. And General, thank you for your time with us this evening. I will start by paraphrasing what you said earlier with regards to how the Ebubeagu has been received. You called it a kind of, you called the clamor for such an outfit a propaganda, given how it has been received by Igbo people in general. I will try to list out some of the things that I believe most people in the Southeast, as I understand it, are worried about. One of them is kidnapping. Another is safety in their farms, open grazing, related to open grazing. The other would be people, protection from people trying to forcefully occupy their land, their farmlands. We know we don't have bushes in Igbo land. Armed robbery. Now, which of these vices that are listed, in your opinion, do you think Ebubeagu is going to address?
Thank you very much.
That is one part of the question. Please allow me the second part to this question. The second part is this. If government facilities had not been attacked, do you think this outfit would have been set up? Thank you.
Thank you very much. General, do you want to take the question, or should I take one or two more?
Please, let me just address this.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Basco? Am I correct?
No. Anthony. Anthony,
but the name showing there is Basco. Maybe it's the phone. Anthony, thank you very much. My brother, I don't think that this response is as a result of attack on police headquarters or correctional center. I think let us look at this threat from two dimensions. I agree with you 100% about the threats you mentioned, I'm on the same page with you. And the truth is that these threats are present with us in one degree or the other. What gave birth to Ebubeagu is not the attack on the correctional center, though it can be referred to as the immediate cause. But let me tell you about the remote causes. IPOB was at Enugu. You know, we are all developed. We know that when an organization is proscribed, everything it does is illegal. And the Igbo man, in all his education and exposure, we can't afford to have an illegal contraption to be our sanctuary. Because anything that organization does can legitimately attract a counteraction. And that counteraction will be on our children that have been led into ESN, into IPOB, who do not have as much understanding, as much education, as much mental liberation as the rest of us do. So as far as I'm concerned, is child abuse, is exploiting the little children who are from downtrodden homes. These people who are supporting ESN in the social media, none of their children is part of this group that are facing bullets of federal security agencies. So what happened at Emene that led to the killing of our people? Why would an illegal body kill security agencies that were on patrol? How many times have police stations been sacked, burnt? A number of them in each of these 5 states of the Southeast. And ESN claimed responsibility. And you think that the federal government anyway ask Chidi, ask him anyway, your buddy, your colleague is attacked. The forces can invest anything within its powers to retaliate that attack, to revenge that attack. So for how long will ESN, IPOB keep drawing fire of revenge upon our children from underprivileged homes that are used as animals to go and so many of them, let me just put it in a very light way, so many of these our children have died arising from the tasks that ESN has given. Can you imagine where someone who says he's a supreme leader will be saying, Obibo, it's our land, kill any police officer, cut off his head, burn everything. So is it not attracting war to Igbo land? I said, our governors, look, let me tell you, the style of Igbos has always been Zobu, Zobu, Enyimba, Enyi, Zobu, Zobu. We don't think through. We don't think deep. We don't get involved in diplomatic penetration, networking, like the Yorubas do. Do you know the people who are encouraging ESN now? They are Yorubas. More. The level of killing in his community is too high, but he's not talking about it. He's talking about ESN, criticizing Southeast governors for not supporting IPOB, so that they will keep on steering us, igniting us until we explode. And then all of them will come together, reach agreement, and come against us. That's exactly what they will do. It has happened in the past. It can happen again.
Thank you.
Igbos are not liked wherever they are because they are progressive people. Usually, you don't like people who are, many people don't like those who are progressing because an Igbo man enters a community. Today, he's a tenant. Years down the line, he owns that house that he was a tenant in. So people don't like them.
Thank you very much.
So we don't allow the mistakes we made before to repeat itself. That's what I'm saying, especially to those who are in diaspora. Many of you didn't know anything about, or don't know anything about the Civil War. Look at Nnamdi Kanu. What does he know about the Civil War? The way he's talking like enemy of Igbos. Safe in UK and calling the shots in Nigeria and calling fire upon us in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, General. I will take the next question, please. What's going to happen? I will take two questions at once because we are running out of time that we planned for this. Daniel Elomba of Elomba TV, United Kingdom. Can you quickly unmute yourself? And Obi Basco, can you also be on standby? And I will take your question immediately after Daniel. Daniel, go ahead.
I'm not sure whether 1 minute will be enough to ask my questions. I don't know whether I'm loud enough.
Are you intending to give us a lecture?
No. I just want to. It's interesting to have the general here because having hosted some of these meetings, our people's grouse is that they don't have access to the governors who we will presume to be the Igbo leaders. And so it's good that we have the general here because having been appointed the leader of this Ebubeagu group means that he has connection to them, he have access to them. So let me be the mouthpiece of some people who don't have access and then ask these questions. And I will really be interested to have his answers to them. General, I agree to a very large extent with some of the things you have said. But I want to find out, are you saying that before this year, for example, that the threat of insecurity in Igbo land has been exaggerated before now? Because if you say that you don't form a surge without the threat being identified, so does it mean that for the past 5 years that the level of security in Igbo land is very low? And then also, since the launch of this Ebubeagu outfit, when you read the comments of Igbos around the globe, the social media articles, some of which are published, and even here in this meeting now, it appears that so many people have so many negative thoughts about this Ebubeagu outfit. And then if our leaders have a different thinking about Ebubeagu, and then the Oha of Igbo seem to distrust it, does it imply that the leaders of Igbo are somehow out of touch with the thinking of the people they are leading? And then if that were so, now, if it appears that ESN enjoys the support of the Igbo in general, and the leaders think that the ESN is a threat, which I also share the fear that ESN may be a threat, what are the Igbo governors doing about this ESN supposed threat? And if it took the killing in Ebonyi and the attack on Owerri prison to form Ebubeagu group, are we saying that our governors are not proactive? Let me give a little example with Amotekun. I don't particularly share the feeling that Amotekun has been a success. No, I agree with you on that, General. Amotekun has not been the success that our Igbo people think they are. But then one thing about Amotekun is that before Amotekun was formed, the general thinking of the Yoruba was like, let's go and fight the Fulani who are killing and attacking and the harassment. And then the governors saw what was about to happen and quickly rushed in to form the Amotekun group. And somehow, for some years, that feeling was doused until Igbo came into the scene. Now, why did our governors wait so long for ESN to be formed before they formed the Ebubeagu outfit? My final question will be, you said also that, and I think I agree with that as well, that you don't form a surge without a danger being identified. So what danger is this Ebubeagu outfit meant to address? Have we identified the source of the insecurity in Igbo land? The ESN have denied being behind the Owerri attack. Nobody has claimed responsibility for the Ebonyi State attacks. So have Ebubeagu identified the source of the danger? And have we identified the enemy, and how do they plan to address it?
Okay, thank you very much, Elumba here. I think I wanted to have you and the general to answer your question with that of Basco, but your question is loaded. I do not want him to lose track here, please. General, if you address that question before I can proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, my brother, Daniel Elumba. There are some impressions I want to correct first. Number one, the impression our brothers in diaspora hold that what they believe in is the majority, the opinion of the majority of Igbos is very wrong conception. What you people believe has little to do with what is on the ground. That is why I encourage you that you should interact beyond the social media group that you are in. Most of the time, people in some kind of social media groups, they have agenda. And they have managed to railroad other people to fit into their agenda. That their agenda is selfish agenda. It's nothing to do with interests of Ndibo. So any person, Igbos in diaspora, please go outside the social media group you belong to find out the truth about things that affect Igbos. So the opinion you hold is not opinion of the majority. That is number one. Why did the Southeast governors wait till now? You know, I had answered it before. I said the destruction of the correctional center and the freeing of the prison mates of that center and the police headquarters that was burnt could be the immediate cause of forming Ebubeagu. But there have been other incidences. Let me tell you something you do not really understand. The threats ESN poses on the security in Igbo land is much more than the threats that we can get from any other source. Let me explain why. The reason is that our leaders have been trying to be diplomatic this time around. Instead of Zobu, as was the case in 1966, 67. Do you know that in 66, 67, Igbos were in control of bureaucracy. They were in control of commerce. They were in control of industries. They were in control of the military in Nigeria and the police. But that thing that was pushing us in the direction that we went ruined all these advantages that we had. They were all ruined. It is spirit of Nzobu. we are saying this time we should become more diplomatic. People want the Southeast governors to turn to a fighting force against the federal government. That is the way to go. No, that is not the way to go. That is the spirit of Nsobu Nsobu. We should come out of that. It has never helped us, and it will never help us. We must think of diplomacy. We must think of networking. We must think of penetration. That is what Igbo man requires now. We are too loud, unnecessarily too loud.
The General, please, Ezek, I'm sorry, but I will agree with you here. But why has the governors allowed themselves to be so out of touch with the people they are leading?
Who said they are out of touch?
Because the General,
excuse me, my brother. That's I'm coming to explain to you. They are not out of touch. It is the propaganda of the social media you belong to. It is their propaganda.
I was 3 months. I was in Nigeria December, January, April, February. The governors have lost control of the Igbo to IPOB. I speak to everybody in the village. My family, everybody was they trust Nnamdi Kanu more than the governors. Do you agree with that?
Because they were deferring to you.
No.
They must have known your contributions on that issue, and they were deferring to you. That is true.
I was the person speaking against Nnamdi Kanu. They wanted to slap me for attacking Nnamdi Kanu.
No. Let me tell you.
Yes.
The greatest danger Igbos have is ESN. Because when Chidi was explaining some things, he told you the scenario in some of the North African states. He told you the scenario. This thing started with formation of this army here, this force here. So before you know it, they turned against themselves. In Asia, you often have warlords. This thing started the way what is happening in the Southeast started. I told you that this ESN, they go to homes to extort money, to kidnap people. And you say that is what is good for us. Why don't we identify one enemy and all of us join strength to go against such enemy? Why do we have enemies within? And these boys, of course, they have no choice but to do what they're doing because they are hungry. They are in the bush. Nnamdi Kanu is in the mansion in UK. All of you are in mansions. All of you are living comfortably, and you are encouraging them. They are in the bush. They are hungry, and they have managed to kill some people and collected their weapons. They are using it also to help themselves. And the people that we kill, extort, kidnap are Igbos, your brothers. And you say that is the best security that we need.
Okay, so let's quickly take the next question here. General, thank you. So I think Mr. Basco, Mr. Obi Basco has been waiting for a long time. Can you quickly make your intervention quickly? Then we'll take one more last question, please. One more last.
Thank you, Mazi, for this, and then thank you, General. Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Basco, we cannot see your face, please. Can you let us see who is talking?
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mazi. Yeah, my problem here with the General is he has been so hard on the people on diaspora. Now, maybe some of us are living abroad. A lot of us, he is saying that what we see in the social media is not real on the ground. He talks so much about people or what is on the ground and what is not on the ground, forgetting that a lot of people in diaspora come to Nigeria in and out. We do say things. The reality of things on the ground and the way he is talking, we are not being sincere to ourselves. That is the fact. to address the issue facing the Igbo man, we got to be sincere, we got to be honest. The governors, the Southeast governors, are very far from the people they lead. It is clear everywhere. They themselves are not in cohort. They are not united. They don't speak one word. Maybe because they belong to different parties. They left the people they are leading on their own. When the general is talking about the new security apparatus, is not an afterthought. Where were the governors when it happened in Enugu? When some people in Enugu were massacred a couple of years ago? Last year, the beginning of last year, we heard about movement of trucks to the Southeast. There were noises made. Nobody listened. I am not a fan of Nnamdi Kanu. I don't belong to IPOB. But what an Igbo man wants is where his own interest lies. Somebody who can protect him. There is no day passes in Igbo land. You don't have kidnapping. You don't have robbery. You don't have raping. It goes across the road. Some of us come in and go out. We hear all these things. You only hear the ones that you want to hear. There are many. I mean, even today, things will be going on. Nobody hears them. Too many things happens in the villages. So why would the general be so hard? He has made up his mind, such as with all the political leaders of the Southeast. They do not want to hear anything about IPOB, about ESN. Otherwise, there are bandits in the north. The governors have not abandoned the people. They still talk on their behalf. They still plead on their behalf to the federal government.
Mr. Basco, thank you very much for your intervention. And I would, before I let you answer the question, I would add the following. You made mention of having a common enemy. Then my question to you, which was part of what Daniel Elumba asked before, is it's headsmen invading, and I think Anthony mentioned before, a people coming to take land, occupy some places where and you read or you read comments like the governor Bala Mohammed saying that nobody own bushes. And you and I know that as Ndibo, no single inch of land is not owned. And when the people that the elite govern think that there are a people coming to take their land, in the process, they lose their lives because someone says it's farmer header clash, and I laugh because a farmer is in his house and the cow comes in with a header, destroys the farmland, he asks question, he gets killed. My question then, General, is, are we looking for common enemy when one already is staring us in the face? Isn't that probably, as Daniel was alluding to, isn't that probably what gave rise to the group that's come up to say we would give protection? In as much as I understand what Chidi was trying to say before, that this is how this thing starts. In conjunction with the question asked by Mr. Basco there, you can answer that question, General, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mazri and the Basco. Let me say that it's true we have common enemy. There is no doubt, because what is happening today was never part of our history. We used to have Fulani herders all over this country, but they never laid claim to ownership of any piece of land. They never confronted the people. They never destroyed farmlands. But these ones that we have been seeing of late, they do all of that. And that is why we think that anyone that does such acts of banditry is an enemy. There is nobody who is saying that these people are not enemies of the people they evade their land. Nobody is saying that. And I don't think any governor has ever said that these people that they are doing the best for our people. No, they have been also worried. But let me tell you the problem we have amongst ourselves is that an Igbo man, let me first of all tell Basco, Basco, you are out of the country and I am living here 24/7. Every moment of the month, every moment of the year, I am in Nigeria. I go to various parts of Nigeria. I gather information right on the ground. And you gather your own in the social media, in the newspapers.
No, it's not true. It's not true.
Me, please.
I'm also it's not, I'm sorry, General. It is not true. I'm also in the country. Things happen in Nigeria. I'm from Anambra. So to tell you where I am from Anambra, there's no month I'm not in Anambra. Things happen in that state. So
okay,
it's part of the Southeast.
Mr. Vasco, General, can you please quickly round up so that we don't make this conversation?
Vasco, you are still a visitor. We are those dwelling in this land. I can't tell you the story about where you are living much more than yourself. The truth is that people believe what they want to believe.
And you tell us what we want to hear.
Well, if I tell you, you have made up your mind to believe what you want to believe. I am telling you from the depth of my heart, any person who is telling you that he loves Igbo land more than the other Igbo man is deceiving himself. You may be boiling in your heart because of your consuming love for our land. But we must put things in perspective. We must tell ourselves the truth. We can't use propaganda of lies to mislead our people. And actually, I am telling you, that is what our people have become victims of. We have been deceived. They tamper with video clips of what happened in Somalia. In South Sudan, they say it happened yesterday in Ebonyi State. It happened, it's just happening right now. They pass it. And I sympathize with you guys because you are not here. Your heart will cut. I sympathize with you people. But those of us who are here, I've been telling IPOB, please stop doing this service. We are not fighting war against Igbos and Igbo lands. We have common enemy. Direct your anger, direct your attack on common enemy. Stop. Why is he always attacking Igbos, attacking our leaders? Is that where the arsenal should go to? We are misplacing priorities. We are putting enmities among ourselves instead of directing our attack to where it should be and unite as a people.
Okay, thank you for the response. Then, Chidi, may I bring you back, Chidi? Are you still there, Chidi?
Yeah, I'm here, yeah.
Okay. You've been listening and you hear this passionate, you see, one thing I can tell everybody here, and no offense, please, both my guests, myself, and every guest here who has joined us, we are here for one thing because of what is happening in the place of the place of our birth. Because I can see passions from both sides, going up. It's good. It's a civil, and I must say thank you everyone for keeping the conversation so far civil. I must commend everyone. But Chidi, having listened to all these things, what do you think?
Well, we're in trouble. That's the first thing. The most important thing, I think, is that we need to make a very clear understanding of what the issue is here. And there's several very serious issues that we need to address. The first for me is that I've said it for the beginning. The only way you win this war, and maybe we don't make it a war before we even get to the war, is to protect the people. I again, with respect to the general, saying our problem is ESN, our problem is IPOB is not the way to go. And to say that the diaspora are misinformed or we support IPOB, if you know the diaspora, how much we have challenged IPOB, how the insults and the that we've taken from these guys because of challenging them. When and as the fellow was saying, it is our people back home that, when they text me, they'll be telling me I'm in Biafra land and I'll be challenging them, and the insults you'll be getting just for trying to say, to steer away from this. I know how much I'm giving out to my relatives just so that they don't get tempted into going down this road. We are the biggest. So the point I'm making is that we are the biggest kind of bulwark you're going to get against IPOB propaganda. If you want, IPOB is not a threat to Igbo land. IPOB is an irritant. Nnamdi Kanu at best is like a prosperity pastor. All he needs to do is jerry coil his hair. He collects tithes every month. He goes talking about miracles every year. He will give prophecy. This will happen. Biafra, this will happen. There's a moon is going to show. Israel will come and fight for us. Every year, nothing happens. Same as every pastor in Nigeria giving prophecy every year that nothing happens. He's a 419 man. Sorry for any IPOB members here. You're following a 419 man. He will collect his money. He will sit here in England. The key question we need to ask ourselves is, why is he sitting here in England? He spends all his time talking about how evil Britain is, how the Queen hates Britain is plotting against Nigeria, but he sits in England. The Nigerian government, very curiously, has never asked for his extradition. We have an extradition treaty with Britain. Why is he in England? Why hasn't he been extradited? Why are the IPOB channels still broadcasting? I can sit in my house and block their channels. Why are they still broadcasting? Why are their accounts still functioning? My point is that I don't understand how IPOB functions and how the Nigerian government functions. If I was a conspiracy theorist, I would say that IPOB is a very convenient scapegoat for the government. Anytime there's a problem, all of a sudden IPOB flares up. Maybe that's going a little bit too far. But the most important thing I want to focus on, again, I will keep bringing it back to this, is protecting the people. But the first way you can protect the people is crafting a narrative that the people can buy into. Now, IPOB is popular amongst the people because it's talking about the things that affect all of us. They are clearly saying, they're talking about the corruption, they're talking about the crime, they're talking about the insecurity. We have governors, Akbuzu SARS. The governor took the guy, the DPO, and made him a special advisor. Are you telling me he didn't know this man had so many cases against him? How can you trust that man now to protect your security when you take your oppressor and make him your special advisor? Why is that man not being tried? If we want to win this fight, we have to create a narrative that everybody believes in. The enemy, and the way to create that narrative is not to turn Igbo against Igbo. Not to turn us against, I don't support IPOB, I don't support Nnamdi Kanu. I've said it here with my chest that I think he's a 419 man. But that doesn't mean I will now go and start turning my energy to confront IPOB when Igbo land is under threat from so many other things. The biggest threats in Igbo land are not IPOB. If it's not even Fulani headsman, they're a threat, but they're not the biggest threat. It is crime. You tackle you get the support of the people. And so one last point is that creating that narrative, it also means you have to be sympathetic to people. I mean, I know you don't agree, and part of the problem we have again is that, especially when we're talking, when you're talking, it reminded me sometimes of talking to my dad. I'm talking to the general. He's talking to my dad when I'm challenging him. He gets very angry and he's like, "You don't know what's going on." And you've got to understand that we know what's going on. I on my phone here, I have pictures from when the attacks were going on. People were sending me videos. People were sending me this. We know what's going on. So you have to, there has to be a way that you communicate with us that we're on your side. As I said, this audience that you have here, would have actually been your best audience, because we are not pro-IPOB in the majority in the diaspora. But by not listening to some very valid points, you've changed. If you look at the chat, you'll see you've turned a lot of people off from what could be a very positive outcome for yourself. So I would say let's create that narrative of our enemies are the criminals, the bandits. And if you say that, okay, but in the way of catching these bandits, we clamp down on IPOB as collateral damage, no one is going to stop you. But protect the people from crime, and that will stop these problems. Do not attack the people. Do not call in airstrikes. And the other thing I would say finally is that what we don't, and I'll say this in the open because you can check, this is all from open source. The Nigerian military is extremely weak. Right now, what I'm tracking on my this thing is what's happening in Damasak. For how many times this week ISWAP was overrun Damasak? And that's where all our forces. We do not have the resources, we do not have the men to fight in Igbo land. And Igbo land, if we decide to fight in Igbo land, it will suck in the entire Nigerian army. So this is not something anybody is going to win. All that will happen is that Igbo land will be destroyed. IPOB, ESN will never rule over the ashes. Nobody is going to support them. The federal government will not do it. It will not gain anything out of this. So there has to be a different way of approaching this. If you really want to tackle IPOB and ESN, then there are legal ways. Request is extradition. Put in a red order to get a bank account shut down. Don't use military force. And then again, try and tackle the youth. Speak to them and tell them, listen, we understand, we hear your pain. Put that guy from Marcos Usaz on trial. Remove the checkpoints, and these things will start, and you will isolate the criminals from the people, and will resolve this problem. Let the rest of Nigeria, I don't want the rest of Nigeria to burn, but let's not bring what's happening in Borno State into Igbo land, and it will happen. If you know how much the Nigerian military wants to come down on the Igbos, I don't know how to say this, without being too hyperbolic, but we're walking into a trap here, and I would hope that people will understand that it's not in my hands, it's not in the hands of the ordinary people, it's in the hands of the leadership. The governors need to listen to the people, and they need to sensitize, hold town hall meetings, hold a series of town hall meetings, listen to people's problems, and then from there, you'll be able to, at least, even if you don't act on everything, people will feel they're being listened to, and then move on from there and hopefully bring it down a little bit. I mean, that's as much as I'll say, on account of time.
Thank you very much, Chidi. And General, in rounding up, please. In rounding up, General, I will let you have the last word. But before I do, someone that I was supposed to call up before, I think he logged out, his back now. That's the last person that sadly we can take. Nze Ugo, please, can you quickly unmute yourself, and so that you quickly make your intervention? The General will now round up with answering any question you might have. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mazi. Good evening to everyone. I think, first of all, when we are discussing the issue of security in the Southeast, I believe that we are coming from a wrong perspective. General, I want to believe that you've served meritoriously, and you've really done your bit as a forceman, and you've made your mark. That having said that, I have
you are beginning to sound like
issues with the way the security has been handled. Firstly, I remember clearly that by 2019, you were appointed. Yes, sir.
Sorry, Chidi, I think you need to repeat what you said before. You started sounding like Gajo of your name, so come again.
Okay, let me start from the top. I said I want to really commend General for his meritorious service and the contribution to humanity when he was in the service. But I have certain reservations with how things are going with the security of the Southeast. Firstly, I remember that by 2019 August, he was appointed the chairman of the Southeast Security Committee. As at today, that Southeast Security Committee has not given us any comprehensive brief of what they achieved, because we know that certainly they expended money from the purse of the Southeast governors or the Southeast people for their services. We've not gotten the account of how that happened. Secondly,
well, sadly, Nzeuga, I think in Nigerian parlance, they would say the village people wouldn't allow you to speak. It's not, sorry. Sorry, is not.
I think we should be blaming General Umahi for that. Is that what's happening? Can I change position?
I think. Hold on. I think sadly, in Nzeuga, the network is not helping you. And we quickly, before we've really overshoot time, so we can now close. But let me piggyback on something you said. You know, you talked about the, which I did mention at the beginning, when this committee was constituted, August 2019. Now, yes, that report actually is, in my understanding, was meant to be to the governors. I think our question here should be, did they do their work? Did they submit the report to the governors? The report wasn't meant to be submitted to you and I, but exactly. because that is what, you know, if that report was meant to be submitted to the governors and that report was submitted to the governors forum, then our question collectively will be, what's then happened? On that note, I will now ask General to quickly answer the, you know, respond to Chidi, answer your question, and put up his closing remark, then we'll call it a day. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mazi. Mze, I sympathize with your lack of information. You know, the problem is that our people draw conclusions without knowing the premises. Since this outfit was put together, I have never received 1 naira from any governor in the Southeast for the purpose of this office, or for anything for that matter. So jumping into conclusion that I should account for the resources put at my disposal, that's a problem. We act based on hearsay, or we act, you know, it's Lord Denning that said you can't build something on nothing. But our people, we always build something on nothing. So you didn't find out whether we were funded or not. You drew conclusion. That's very uncharitable. I never got 1 dime from anyone, from any governor, from any agency of any Southeast government for this operation. So as a matter of fact, I have nothing to account for. That is number 1. Number 2 is that Chidi, my brother, I want to tell you, you see, it's also, again, a void where people don't understand. There are some things that are not brought into the public domain for maybe diplomatic reasons or some other reasons, okay? But bilaterally speaking, Nigerian government has taken this issue up with United Kingdom. I can't say more than that. But one thing that bothers me is this, which I think that our brothers in diaspora, our brothers and sisters in diaspora should have been putting their fingers on is, when the Western countries want to destabilize a nation, They use someone who is eloquent, someone who can do propaganda. They plant and sponsor that person in their land and use the person to cause insurrection in their country, in his country. There was this Yoruba guy who came up and started behaving like Nnamdi Kanu. Overnight, he was picked up by Scotland Yard and he fizzled out. Why is it that the same authority have not done that concerning Nnamdi Kanu? My question is, could it be that the West is sponsoring him, using him to destabilize Nigeria? Because, truth be told, the Western world is interested in crisis in the whole of Africa. Because their source of sustenance is the entire African, our natural resources. So if we don't put that in perspective, then of course it means we do not really have foundation of international politics. So I am thinking that there is something fishy that some of us may not really understand. But has Nigeria made effort? Yes, sir. Nigeria has.
Well, that's a fine place to leave it. I would say once more, thank you for being part of this conversation. We've overshot with time, close to 2 hours now. And General, thank you for joining us and thank you for your insights and explanations. And Chidi as well, who joined us from London. Chidi, thank you very much for your time. Sadly, I don't think the DIG Hilary Okpara was able to make it as was planned. But again, one thing we must take away from this conversation this evening is we are a people that are known for conversation. We can be seen to argue and, boast, do a lot of things, but we always have a way to resolve our problems. And this shall not pass us by as well. As Chidi said, which got me a little bit worried at the beginning, that if these things are not handled well, we might be heading towards what is currently happening in the Northeast. People, I must tell us and I must encourage us, let us leave no stone unturned. Let us reach to those, even if we consider them enemies. One thing is, as we have brought out here today, we have a common enemy. Please, and please again, I beg us, we must work to resolve something. There is something I always say, and I will repeat that again. For those of you who do not understand Igbo, apologies. But I will tell us free of charge. Iheji, edozi, anibo, make anibo wee dị mma, ma nchekwa anibo, abụrụ ihe a na-ekwu n'ilo. It takes a lot. On that note, I will say thank you very much and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you, General.